think I can pretty much summarize this episode with an expression that Kibito gave, and he probably would then say the words, freaking Mortys. That's right, it's time for the review for Daima episode 2, and yes, I still think it's cool, and now we actually get to see more of the opening. We got to hear it at the end of episode 1, and now we're seeing it here for the first time, with plenty of things to talk about, but we'll discuss that more in a discussion in the future. But we do get to see Dabura's father Abura for the first time, and sure enough, in typical Toriyama fashion, you've got to make him the complete opposite of what you were expecting. You were expecting an even more evil-looking person than Dabura? No, turns out he's just a big fat jolly demon. But then again, the entire perspective of what we expect from the demon realm has been completely turned on its head. Just because they're from the demon realm doesn't mean they have to be evil. Even though we all thought that Dabura was the most evil being that you could possibly have, maybe we were wrong. They don't have to necessarily be the most malevolent beings of all time. Maybe Abura was more of a benevolent person. Maybe Dabura was. Because the whole point and this purpose is that nobody seemingly likes Gomah, and this Glorio person who's introduced later is there to try and stop it because this particular kingdom that he comes from might have been somebody who was friends or allies with Dabura, and Gomah, he's just this tiny little jerk, kind of like how Pilaf was just this tiny little jerk who lived in the desert or something like that. So as we get to understand more and more about this, and even just seeing this one shot of Abura, Dabura's father, it does really make me think, surely out there is an estranged son of Dabura called Kadabura, kind of like with Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. Like, surely there's going to be that polar opposite, because Dabura and Bobbidi, they were like that. So surely that kind of parallel is something Toriyama would have thought about. We are going to get Kadabura eventually. But I also think that more people will be happy getting to see Piccolo, Vegeta and Bulma involved in the story later on. Because I could easily imagine that if it were just Goku, Shin, along with Glorio and the Panji, who will be introduced later when we actually get to the Demon Realm, it will eventually get stale because this is going to be round about 20 episodes or so, Daima. And if this was just remaining this dynamic of characters, I think it was starting to get a little bit repetitive. So now I'm actually getting to see more of the more popular characters, including an angry Vegeta, and I am really happy we'll get to hear more potentially in the dub of Sabat just going, "Now I'll never get to be King Vegeta," because you know that Sabat will be doing that, and "Hey Kakarot, I want to beat you more and more." And speaking of the voices actually, it does make me think that quite a lot of the Japanese cast have been replaced, because I don't think that's Mayumi Tanaka. I think I got the name right, as I recall. That's not the original voice actress for Krillin, because that one is slightly different. There's just that particular tone that is missing from a younger Krillin. I mean, certainly, Mr. Satan, Roshi, they've been replaced. And oh yeah, by the way, Roshi, those eyes, when he lifts his glasses, that's just basically Saitama. Are they now related or something like that? I mean, of course, it's a little bit of a joke, but it's nice to see some of these other characters being talked about. And now I'm starting to think more and more and more. I don't recall seeing Tenshinhan or Chaozu there either, but then again, they don't really go to parties or something, but I think it's safe to assume that they've been kiddified. And okay, going back to Gomah, I don't feel like he's going to be the main villain here, because that was confirmed to me, because he had the opportunity to kill Dende in a fit of pique after Shenron revealed that he only gives out 3 wishes to the regular crowd or non-first-timers. They only get 1, which I feel like is a perfect Toriyama addition.
Because if you want multiple wishes from me, you have to actually put in the effort and find the Dragon Balls twice.
And unfortunately never can't do that, because it seems like even though he is completely all-powerful, probably one of the most powerful Namekians that ever existed, he can't just summon the Dragon Balls 2 times in a row.
Even I have my limits, and as I'm an old person, it's probably my nap time.
Or something like that. At least he has some kind of limits. He's not entirely broken. But yeah, Dende's right there, a tiny little baby. And also, Neva is actually kind of either just completely done with life or not really thinking about it, completely carefree or chill, or entirely malevolent, because he does tell Gomah that,
yeah, if you kill the baby, these Dragon Balls will no longer be a problem. No one else can use them.
And then Gomah thinks about it, but he doesn't do it. Gomah could easily have just taken out Mr. Popo and Dende. The balls would have become inert, and then eventually Earth would have never been a problem again. And okay, I know you're probably going to be saying that, Purunga could easily wish them all back. But then again, They're friends, so maybe some of the Namekians over on planet Namek have been turned into kids, including Elder Mori, because he is supposedly a friend of Goku or something like that. But either way, it does make you reckon that there is going to be an even bigger bad coming along further down the line, or maybe never is that. Or maybe Dr. Arinsu is there because she's been conspicuously absent throughout all of this. So instead, Dende is taken hostage, and oh yeah, more lore reveal. Mr. Popo has horns. A genuine demon? Or are genies from that realm too? Well, Shin does go on to say that, yeah, you can generalize most people with pointy ears coming from the demon realm, but not everyone with differently shaped ears are, and it does actually make you think more and more about what actually does define a person from the demon realm. And it just really seems to be the effort of Toriyama recently, what with the introduction of the animated version of Sandland, to really illustrate that, hey, demons aren't necessarily all that bad. Maybe they're just like other regular folk trying to make a living, and they just happen to live in this particular world and they look slightly different to us. So maybe it's Toriyama trying to tell us all that, hey, just be slightly tolerant to people just because they don't come from where you come from. It's kind of like how Doug was in a way, how everyone was a different shade of skin, but they were all essentially the same. It kind of made the whole question of difference completely meaningless because everyone was one and the same. So maybe this was just Toriyama's version or something like that. But I kind of like the fact that we actually get to understand more of demons and not all of them are bad. They're just trying to make a living, man. They're just trying to get through the day to day. But either way, I think all of this is going to take some getting used to because Goku in this new form, I could immediately hear him after he crashed into that table of food. I would easily just have him go, no, my food, it's ruined. And yeah, I just cannot get over the fact that Roshi just looks like a young Saitama. It's weird. Okay, what I really like about this is that when we do get more exposition, we get it from both Shin and Piccolo, both being able to be involved and providing some valuable background information. And I like the fact that it's not just Shin doing it being all important, it's the Namekian revealing it too that little bit more about the character and how indeed he is a legend neighbor amongst the Namekian people. Him staying behind in the demon realm whilst the rest of them escaped the realm and into R1 and living on the what eventually would become planet Namek at a time when you could travel more freely between the worlds and dimensions before it was subsequently cut off from the rest of reality, save for special permission. Never created the Dragon Balls in the realm, so thusly he felt duty-bound to remain when he was more cognizant. And it does make me wonder, was Kami around when the Namekians escaped the demon realm back in the day? When he was the fused Katas, the nameless Namekian? His own ship that we see back in the Namek saga having been made there? There's plenty of questions to be had and some rather intriguing thoughts. But either way, more Namekian lore? Lovely. And sure enough, Piccolo and Popo confirmed that, yeah, Neva is pretty old, of course, even more older than Kami, but incredibly powerful. I'm getting more vibes that this guy is going to be the true big bad, or a key part of the story later. Maybe Gomah will be dispatched of later or made redundant. This story is just a vehicle for Toriyama to really big up the Namekians more and more, since Piccolo is one of his favourite characters, like he originally did in the first series of Dragon Ball, and that idea kind of got lost in Z because the Saiyans became popular as per the dictation of the editor. But with the idea that many demons travel between this realm and the demon realm, any race could have come from there, including maybe the progenitors of Frieza's race or something like that. It does make you think, and I really want to see more of this demon realm, and we probably might get to see more of this before we actually got to Universe 6 in greater detail, which just makes me both interested and curious and sad. And I know that folks are still bummed out that these characters have been turned into children, but seriously, we just gotta get over it, because I totally get the logic behind this. It's been the opportunity to make Shin the most useful he has ever been. He has tons of background knowledge, his own spaceship, which got particularly damaged during the fight between Goku and Kid Buu, because, yeah, sure, if you have a ship, you can't just make it instantly ship-worthy, and also being incredibly vital to Goku adjusting to the situation. And it is same for Piccolo, which I do find hilarious also, when he's just dunking on the Saiyan.
Well, you better get used to your own body.
That a lot of these characters do have their uses and relevancy in this episode, including Bulma. Although, as Bulma does realise, she could have easily made it easier for all of them had they just taken the ship to Capsule Corp instead of just getting Kibito to run bits and pieces to and from the lookout. But hey, it does give us the bit where Kibito gets to do stuff or something like that. He's just not there in the background behind Shin just going, yes, Kaiosama, yeah. And Goku's real lucky that Popo's powers were compromised when he broke his stuff when training, because he just broke a pillar and Popo's just like that, you're lucky, Goku, I'm a kid, because otherwise I think you would have been wrecked. But at least this gives us a good excuse for it to be reunited with the power pole at Roshi's place, who was using it as a pole for his laundry. Classic Toriyama. Korin just goes, well, no one actually comes to visit me, kid, so I just gave it to somebody else. And also, where is Yajirobe? Was he changed into a kid as well? Because can you really count him as a friend or an acquaintance? Because they got turned into a kid too. Because he certainly didn't fight Boo, if I recall. I just don't understand where Tenshinhan and Chaozu are. And as for Gohan, is it going to be the case that if they were turned to a particular grade, that maybe this would be a Gohan who perhaps was turned into what he was like after he came out of the Room of Spirit in time, when he fought Perfect Cell, maybe, or something like that? Because we also got to remember that in this particular universe, this time frame, Gohan is the strongest character. So that's going to be very interesting once he pops up later. But anyway, no time for that now, because we now finally get to see Glorio, since the episode's named after him, and it's given us the means to get to the Demon Realm ahead of time for Shin and Goku, and also speed up the process for Bulma, Piccolo, and Vegeta. But hey, teenage-looking guy with purple jacket. It's Demon Princess Trunks! Okay, in all seriousness, he comes from a kingdom in the Demon Realm, which is more benevolent, I guess, or maybe, as I said, allies with Dabura, and he and his king from the Third World want to overthrow Gomah, the new Demon King, who just took it for some reason. And Goku's judge of character immediately makes him trust Glorio, just going, okay, I'm gonna get in the ship now, adventure! Either way, I am so pleased that Shin has importance. And also, I think many people are relieved that Piccolo, Bulma, and Vegeta will be involved in the story and offer some more personalities to bounce off of. And probably we might actually get some more examples of finding about what the Namekians were like in the Demon Realm, because Piccolo has said that even though he doesn't remember or recall the times back when he was living in the Demon Realm when he was Kami, or the nameless Namekian, because we gotta remember, it was so long ago, Kami doesn't really recollect anything about it. But maybe some more memories might come to light, and the Kami inside of him might suddenly go, oh yeah, I remember that. Some kind of innate knowledge of the world. I'm just so glad that this idea and trend of Namekians being more important has continued from when Toyotaro and Toriyama started to work together on the Super manga. It's not something that was a flash in the pan that we got in the Moro saga. No. This is continuous. We are going to see more and more lore about the Namekians before we get more and more lore of the Saiyans. We got that with Broly. Now we're getting this with Daima for the Namekians, because Daima is essentially Demon Realm, and now we found out the Namekians are a class of demon. So it makes perfect sense to actually big up Namekians instead of just talking more and more about Saiyans. But I'm glad that we're going to be getting more perspectives from folks that are familiar and were welcome. And question, did I see a certain Toki Toki from the Xenoverse games at the official ending with a bird flying away? I mean, maybe not, but it's certainly worth a thought, isn't it? So, okay, it wasn't as bombastic an episode as the first one, but I do get the feeling that the opening episode of Daima was meant to capture people who might have been skeptical regarding Daima, and just going, look at the flashy colours and animations and allusion to Z, and the fact that we can somewhat emulate the Z style with this particular animation style that we've come up with Toriyama, with digital technology, with different people having different perspectives of classic Z moments. So we've already got that. We've already enticed people with a big exposition dump. The episode is quite a bit shorter, maybe about like 10 minutes shorter. I just feel like Daima is going to become some kind of genuine story, and I really am starting to like this vibe because it's nice and simple. Gloria is just this completely aloof person, but I still do get the allusion to Trunks, as in it's a person that comes from a completely different world with this purple jacket, no doubt. I'm pretty sure that must have crossed Toriyama's mind at some point. And Goku meets him, completely trusts him right from the off, like Goku trusted Trunks entirely without question when he arrived from a different time. I just feel like there are plenty of connections, and even Glorio's ship is somewhat similar colours to what Trunks' time machine was or something. These could be just little cheeky Easter eggs or something like that, probably not really important, but it's just things that I was thinking about when I was watching it for a second time. And I'm glad that people in the polls were really happy to have my thoughts being surmised the following morning or something like that. I think it was like 90% of people would want to have had time to digest it before hearing my thoughts, and it certainly makes it a lot easier because right after when Daima comes out, I'm doing babysitting for the entire evening, so it would be hard to actually record and properly analyse an episode with a little one running around. Well, okay, they're not running yet. They just started crawling, by the way, so, you know, there's that. But anyway, let me know what you think about Daima Episode 2 in the comments, and I'm still really pleased with where this is going. It was a lot more down to earth, but at least there was some more little tidbits of Toriyama-like dialogue or something like that. Discussions. Piccolo trying to be cool in front of Goku and then completely fouling it up and then getting a broken nose out of it. I mean, I just find that really funny. Just these little bits and pieces that feel like Toriyama. Just Roshi just flexing in the mirror even though he's a little child. People will be thinking if he actually does go into town, they won't be thinking he's a creepy old man. They'll just think he's just a weird little kid or something like that, trying to get ideas above his station. But in a way for Roshi, is that better or is it not? Anyway, okay, I hope you enjoyed this review and I shall see you later on in the week when we have a more in-depth discussion. But until then, do subscribe for more of these reviews. Catch you later.